Welcome to ESPN's Champ Week. It's the 2017 New York Life ACC Tournament. First round action, NC State and Clemson as the country's best basketball conference comes to the nation's biggest city. First time ever the ACC Tournament plays in New York. And we have a game today featuring NC State and Clemson. Clemson, one of the teams that Joe Lunardi has fighting for their NCAA tournament lives, and all part of a backdrop here. Clemson, NC State, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, Wake, and Boston College, left side of the screen. Not a great side of the screen to be on. Those four teams on the right all get a double bye. They don't play until Thursday. Teams today got to win 5 games in 5 days to claim the title. Allison Williams will join us shortly. I'm Carl Ravitch, and LaFonso Ellis, the Fonz, is with me as well. Think about the ACC conference regular season. Carolina wins it, but there are a variety of times it was anybody's conference, really up and down.
No question about it. At one point, Notre Dame came out of nowhere and put themselves in position. We thought that maybe Louisville could be. This is a very deep and dangerous team. So excited for my first ACC tournament.
All right, let's talk about Clemson. The Tigers, Brad Brownell's team, usually known for its defense, this year scoring a lot of points. But again, Joe Lunardi has them right on the old bubble as one of the next 4 out. They got some real good quality wins. They don't have a bad loss. But you get to 15 losses, it's almost a virtual death sentence when it comes to the tournament. They do have a superstar in Jaron Blossom game.
An elite level athlete, not shooting it as well from the three-point line on the year, but shooting it well as of late, loves the corner three. And folks, this is a guy that gives up people a lot of problems at 6'7", undersized power forward, loves to get to the middle of the lane, and he's the elite level athlete. He's gonna have to be huge today to get a win against NC State.
Coach says the defense has been nasty on him, but he's in a much better place now than he was earlier this year. NC State's in a weird place. Their coach, Mark Gottfried, has been let go. He's coaching out the rest of the season, and then after that, he is done. They had big expectations, partly because they're really young and have arguably the freshman of the year in the country, let alone the conference, in Dennis Smith Jr.
A guy who will be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, folks. One of the best guards in the country that you don't know about. This kid has 4 30-point games on the year, 2 triple-doubles. Let's take a look and see what makes this young kid so special. Dennis Smith Jr., when he has the rock, he has a killer crossover, gets low. Once he gets the shoulder by, you look at that, folks, shows the ball, 1, 2, 3 defenders, and the ability to be able to change it and scoop it. And now all of a sudden he comes around that ball screen, elite level vision, and at times he has the ability to deliver it so quickly. And watch this, folks, a little mismatch, little crisscross action, no opportunity. He's going to have to be big today.
You got your tournament voice going, the intensity.
Let's
is ready, and so are we. It is NC State and Clemson as the AC's tournament tips off next. All right, whether it's the roof prim or the sky or Brooklyn Bridge, we're here, and we look forward to seeing NC State and Clemson as we kick off the 2017 ACC tournament at the Barclays Center. It's never been in, let alone Brooklyn, never been in New York. All sorts of connections between many of the programs, their coaches, players, and the pipelines that have led from the boroughs of New York down to Tobacco Road. But for this tournament, LaFonso, Tobacco Road has moved to the northeast.
Indeed.
Brad Brownell is the coach. He's 2-6 in the ACC tournament, and it's a difficult test for him because he's trying to keep his entire team motivated. He said to me a little while ago, what do you do with the meetings? We keep losing these tight games. You keep preaching to them, hang in. Brownell's got a job. Not the case for Mark Gottfried, who's with Allison.
Thank you, Carl. Coach Gottfried, given the current situation in a one-and-done tournament format, that could be the last time you break a huddle with this team before a game. What did you just tell them?
Don't make me cry. We're getting ready to have a game. Hey, we didn't come here to play. We came here to win, and we packed for the week. These guys want to play. They're excited about playing. I'm excited about it, and I hope we can play all week long.
Thank you so much.
Part of the, I guess, lack of consideration for letting Gottfried go when K-Yao did was, what happens if they come here and win? I mean, what if Dennis Smith puts on one of those shows where he takes over and they go all the way to the finals and maybe shock the nation?
Yeah, which he's very capable of doing. That's why it was such shocking news for all of us.
You see, Ted Capita gets the start for NC State. Markel Johnson dealing with a hyperextended left knee. He usually starts, but he is not in the starting lineup as NC State controls the tip.
Playing against this Clemson defense, which is like a pack line defense, you got to get the basketball to the middle of the floor.
Abu all the way to the hole, and he elevated high above the rim, and NC State scores first.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. When NC State has the rock, they have to get into the middle of the paint and be able to make plays. That was nicely done by Abu.
Blossom game rises. That one's off to the right. Offensive rebound for Clemson, stolen by Smith.
Yeah, I don't like it when the pull-up J is his first shot. I like it when Blossom game attacks the rack and can score. Then once he does that, then that opens up his perimeter game.
Smith Jr., another kick to Abu. That one's off. And that one may have gone off of a Clemson player, and it did. A couple of things. They're at the Barclays Center. These are NBA rims. Heard a lot about that in practice the other day. Is there something to it?
Well, one of the things is the rims are very tight. And notice even on a soft, short shot like that, how far that ball caromed off the rim. So you're going to have to box out a little bit further. Otherwise, they're going to attack your backboard as Rowan knocks down a big three.
Something we'll look for, how far those rebounds go. That one from Rowan went right through the basket. Maverick, one of the best three-point shooters on the team. You and I saw him earlier against Syracuse. Make almost 10 in the game.
Yeah, had 8. Amazing.
Good move inside. That's Elijah Thomas.
I like what we're seeing from Clemson so far. Very patient on the offensive end, throwing the basketball, starting to play inside out. And that's going to be a huge key for them all night long. Sorry, it's not night. It's dark in here, but it's the afternoon.
Avery Holmes has to deal with Dennis Smith Jr., who launches a three. That one high off the rim. And they're going to get an offensive foul on Capita over the top.
Brad, you see how high that ball went in the air? It's amazing how tight these rims are. I almost forgot. It's been a while.
You ever play a noon game like this one, Tips, at noon? These college kids aren't used to noon games.
Yeah, we had one my second to last year with the Miami Heat. We played the New York Knicks at their place and didn't score in the first half. Beautiful find underneath there. I love what Clemson's doing. But early game and didn't play well in the first half, and Pat Riley was chewing me out at halftime, and then went on to have, I think, 13 in the second half. And so after the game, he said, "What the heck happened?" I said, "I'm not a morning kind of guy, man. I don't wake up until 1 in the afternoon."
Second half starts at 1, and that's when Fawn shows up.
You know it.
Abu will throw it up for the baseline, and there's another one of those perhaps tight rims as it rattled in and out.
Yeah, Abu's got to stay with what got him started. He should have driven that ball.
Awesome game gets it to go with a high arcing layup, and Clemson gets their first lead.
How good is this kid? We've already seen what makes him so special. Saw him score underneath in traffic the last possession, now attacking in transition. I love it when Clemson gets early pushes.
Smith isolated with Avery Holmes on him, and Abu sets the high screen. A little tricky dribble between the legs. And a steal. Holmes to the hole, and he lays it in. Turnover for NC State.
Well, we talk about that pack line defense. When you're going to drive, you have to know that Clemson's going to have a secondary defender there. Not a good read. Avery Holmes able to rip that one and get a layup in transition.
Henderson drove, and Mitchell with a foul.
Folks, watch as the dribble penetration is taking place. Avery's right there. There's nowhere to go. Quick hands there out in transition. And I love when this Clemson team is on the attack. And how about Jerron Blossom game? Talked about him in the open and how difficult he is to guard as an undersized 4. Folks, that's Blossom game out in transition. That's a difficult shot. Softly lays it in there. That was pretty.
Elijah Thomas set a screen, if you will, on Abu. And it's hard to move Abu, who's 6'8", 240, but Thomas stopped him in his tracks, and that helped Blossom game get to the hole. Hard time getting the ball in. For NC State now, having given up 8 straight points, the one thing you do worry about, and it's been an issue with them, giving up a bunch of points and kind of hang-dogging a little bit. Their heads get down. Smith pulls up, tough shot, can't get it to go. You worry about that a little bit with NC State.
Yeah, we'll see how the game continues to go, but they have to stay with what's gotten them, what's keeping them in this game. And Abu early, they're isolating him, and he's able to get to the rack. The last 2 times they settled for the jump shot. He's got to continue to attack off the bounce, and they'll have some success.
Little touch foul on Abdul Malik Abu, the junior forward. thing Mark Gottfried will tell you guys is that my team is young. Wake Forest was young last year. Look at how good Wake Forest has been this year. My team is real young. I won't be around next year. Many of the players other than Smith and their senior Terry Henderson will be. See where they go. Good pass. And a good find down low for a flush from Elijah Thomas.
And Ralph, that's why I felt he should have gotten another year to see. We got the experiment going this year with Dennis Smith Jr. They've not had a one-and-done guy in their program, and I thought he should have gotten one more year to see how this team could gel.
Maverick Rowan dribbles into traffic, and he kicks it to Smith with 14 on the shot clock. Omer Yurt 7-footer to the hole. We're going to get another foul. This one on Elijah Thomas.
And folks, how about the awareness here on this pretty pass underneath? Everyone in the scramble forgot about where Elijah Thomas is, and what a beautiful no-look pass by Marquise Reed.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life. And Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
Just underway, the ACC tournament and the awards this year for the ACC. Conference Player of the Year, Justin Jackson of Carolina. Dennis Smith Jr., the Freshman of the Year, the Most Improved Player, and a guy that was right there for Player of the Year. John Collins of Wake Forest, we'll see him later. Seth Allen, sixth-man, Virginia Tech. Ben Lammers wins the Defensive Player of the Year. We'll see him later this evening, Georgia Tech. And Josh Pastner, who has basically called this season surreal in his first year with the Yellow Jackets, came in and perhaps anticipated and was told, you may not win a game in conference, and here they are on the bubble. Bacon, Smith, Lammers, Berry, and Parentis, your second team. Young out of Pitt, great scorer. Part of the third team All-ACC, as well as Jaron Blossomgame.
Yeah, we got Jaron Blossomgame and Dennis Smith Jr. here on display. Dennis Smith Jr. off to a slower start, but Jaron Blossomgame already with 4 points in this game, and we've seen his ability to attack on the interior as well as the perimeter, Jay.
A couple things, guys, for Clemson defensively early on in this one. They need to make sure they're aware of the baseline drives when NC State catches us out on the wing. And also Coach Brownell telling his guys, you have to make their big guys make contested jump shots.
And Allison, that's a great point right there, because we saw Abdul Malik Abu, number 0 in red, in an isolation situation attack the baseline, and there was no one there for Clemson as a secondary defender, and that's been an issue for them all year long.
First play of the game, we saw Abu. Meantime, Blossomgame misses a floater, and now Smith Jr. tries to penetrate. He's cut off. Good pass, and Abu had to go through his hands. Back the other way, quick shot. 3 short, and a long rebound to NC State. Good pass to Abu. He went hard to the rim. He'll get fouled and shoot a couple. Abdul Malik Abu, averaging almost 12 a game, and a good free throw shooter for somebody his size at 73%. He had 18 against Clemson. These teams played 6 days ago.
Yeah. Explosive athlete, bouncy. Coach Gottfried, because he's such a nice kid off the floor, has referred to him as a sweetheart and kind of trying to inspire him along the way. And he's like, it's great that you're a really nice dude, but on the floor I need you to be a bully. And Malik Abdul Abu has been just that.
All right, so that sounds a lot like a guy sitting next to me, like the Fonz,
Dave?
known as the nicest guy in the... Dave's a nice guy, but he's not the Fonz. So how did you get that animosity when you got inside the court? Or did you never have that?
Yeah, no, I had it. I always felt like I was the underdog. As they're committed a foul there, I think that's going to be Rowan over the back. I always felt like I was the underdog. Had the privilege of being in the top 15 players in the country as a high school player with Alonzo Mourning, Billy Owens, Sean Kemp, all of those guys. And so I think you end up with a little chip on your shoulder. And I always play with a lot of energy and a lot of passion. And so it's a delicate balance, though, knowing when to turn it on, turn it off. But my coaches always said that somehow along the line I was able to develop the balance. And I think Abu has done the same.
Yeah, Gabe DeVoe is in. He's 10. He swings it across court. 3-pointer on the way. That one misses as well. Both teams struggling shooting. That was Marquise Reed. And he's been off from 3 his last 6 games and a walk from Maverick Rowan. So if you were to talk to a guy who's known as Sweetheart, I mean, what would you tell him? If he doesn't feel like you did, chip on my shoulder, never was appreciated, what would you tell him?
Yeah, just be physical. Use that big body. Malik Malik Abu is look at that dude's a physical specimen out there, and you want him to be strong on the defensive boards, excellent in defensive help, and when he catches that basketball on the box, you want him to be a beast down there, and he's certainly capable of doing that.
Boston game open over Abu. That one another high off the back iron rebound, and it's Smith Jr.
And Robert, what did we talk about yesterday? We were concerned about the shooting percentages with these tight rims here. These tight NBA rims. And we've seen a lot of clanks here early.
2 of 6 from the field, NC State. 5 of 10, Clemson. Smith Jr. penetrated, got up in the air, and really had nowhere to go with it. Good hustle by Abu to get on the floor. And gets it to Yurtseven, who then loses it.
Malik Abu showing some of that toughness and that bullying that we were talking about. That was a really aggressive and tough play to get to the ground.
Blossom game. Woo. Access denied at the rim by Yurtseven. See if they can turn it into points. They've had 3 straight possessions coming up empty. And Yurtseven's height starting to pay advantages, but he couldn't convert.
Yeah, he's got to finish that when he gets that on the interior. Got to go a little stronger there. But I love the reaction here by Yurtseven. Blossom game thinks he's got an easy layup on the other side. This 7-footer with a quick reaction, sending that one out of here. Good play there by Yurtseven. I love when bigs are aware. When their guards are compromised out on the perimeter, you got to be your instincts have to go up and your awareness has to go up, and what a great reaction there by the big fella.
Yurtseven goes to the bench, the 7-foot, 245-pound freshman. Capita back in 23. He picks up Sidi Zite, who's into the game. Where's 50 for Clemson. Ball received out of bounds and another turnover. Are we seeing the effects of the noon start here, Fonz?
Yeah, it could be there, buddy. That and the combination, that and along with some tight rims out there. Clemson actually got off to a pretty good start. They were 5 of 6 from the floor. Pretty efficient, attacking the rim, getting some things in transition. But since then, both teams have really struggled.
First of 3 ACC tournament games today. BC Wake Forest at 2, and later tonight you'll see Georgia Tech on the bubble at 7. Smith Jr. wanted a foul, didn't get it. Capita, nope, we're going to get steps.
Yeah, I thought Smith Jr. should have gotten that ball back to Maverick Rowan, who popped after that ball screen, was wide open.
Dennis Smith Jr. has yet to convert from the field. He's 0 for 4. The bubble watch, Clemson, Wake Forest, and Georgia Tech. And between them, we got a next 4 out, last 4 in. Wake Forest has to beat Boston College. They all know that.
Indeed.
BC's been really struggling lately.
I think of the teams that's in the most precarious situation is Clemson. They just don't have the wins.
Right. As Brad Brownell was saying, you know, a lot of times you look where you are in the bracket and how things break. Duke losing to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Saturday means Duke's a 5 seed. They don't match up as well with Duke as they do perhaps of Virginia or Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. And for Duke, hey, no number 5 has ever won the ACC tournament, and they come in as a 5 seed. And at one point when they're playing well, they're as good as anybody in the country.
That's a scary number 5.
Good drive all the way to the hole for Shelton Mitchell, the sophomore.
Yeah, a little stop and go action by Shelton Mitchell there, able to get an angle into the rim. They need that kind of production from him.
One of a handful of transfer students that are here playing for Clemson. Shelton Mitchell, a Vandy transfer. They got to transfer Elijah Thomas out of A&M.
I think that was a foul on the 3-point shot by Marquise Reed.
So you get some Dukies there scouting this game. See Shire on the left.
Loved John Shire when he was at Duke, by the way. What a terrific guard. From Chicago, too, so I like those Illinois boys.
He's a Midwest dude. First free throw, nothing but net for the only senior in the starting lineup, Terry Henderson, a 77% free throw shooter.
West Virginia transfer.
Yep.
Last year was supposed to fill the scoring void left by Trevor Lacey, becoming a 1-2 punch with Cat Barber, but tore some ligaments in his right ankle. Limited to 7 minutes in his first game. and was out, never to return.
Dante Grantham, the junior forward, steps in. He started 91 of the 92 games he has played at Clemson.
Wow.
Decent resume.
I'll say.
Boy, missing 2 or 3 hurts NC State as Henderson will retreat with the rest of the Wolfpack. Those are freebies.
And Dante Grantham, number 15, he's lost his confidence offensively. He's got to be able to confidently knock down some shots for Clemson to beat NC State.
Three-pointer southpaw looked good from the release, and Shelton Mitchell knocks it down.
He's really played well lately after 0 points at Florida State, 15 points per game over the last 8.
2 of 2 today. They really got to get Smith Jr. going. Good pass. Nice. Really good pass. That's what Smith Jr. does as well as anyone. We saw that triple-double he had against Syracuse, and you highlighted it at the top. His vision. Right now, they're 6 points back, and Mitchell is 2 for 2 from the field. He's had a lot more success than most shooting the 3 as he knocks that one down. Brad Brownell's team's got an early 15-9 lead over Mark Gottfried, hoping to stay in Brooklyn for a lot longer than just a day.
And folks, one of the things coming into this game as Clemson's up 15-9 that Clemson needed to do is take Dennis Smith Jr. out of the basketball game. Let's go inside to play here. Watch as this ball screen action takes place. When he's coming off that screen, you want to make him go away from the basket. Beautifully done by Blossom Game, creating a little double team. Now you skip the basketball to the weak side of the floor. Now can you close out and contain? The closeout is there. The containment is not. Abu gets all the way to the front of the rim, but that's exactly what you need to do. When you get double teamed that way by your best player, you got to get that ball to the weak side of the floor and attack. Nicely done there by NC State.
Second NC State player ever to win Freshman of the Year, Hawkeye Whitney, back in 1977. The other NC State player to win Freshman of the Year. Well, Chad Ford's big board is you got team presidents from the NBA, general managers, director of basketball operations, just sort of scattered about. Danny Ainge of the Celtics.
No, Sean Marks from before.
He's got Smith Jr. 4 on the list.
Wow.
NC State, of course, as you guys mentioned, needs to get Dennis Smith Jr. going here, so they're going to try and use ball screens more, and they really told him, you have to go hard to the rim, take the double team with you, and then look to throw it back out. They're hoping that can get the offense loosened up.
Yeah, and what happened on that last one, Allison, that's a great point, is as he's dragging that forward who's coming out to create that double team on the hedge, there's a gap there that he can attack, and he's got to be willing to do that. He can't be passive against the ball screen defense of Clemson.
Free throws a problem for NC State as they're now 5 of 9. And a big collision torn down on the ground, number 2 at the free throw line. That opened up the shot that doesn't go down. And he stepped out of bounds when he had it, looking for an over the back call. They won't get it.
NC State is really struggling, Rav. On the last 14 possessions, they're 0 for 6 from the field, 5 turnovers and 3 trips to the foul line.
Is a foul on Elijah here? Nudge him? No, he just stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, just stepped out of bounds there.
Fonz, you've been to a carnival before? There's a bit of when you throw the softball into the milk jug and the ball just doesn't go in.
It can be that way, which is why it's important for them to start getting to the rim. Their first 5 baskets, especially for Clemson, were all in the painted area.
How about the pull-up by the big fella, Sidney Jeté?
Yeah, Sidney Jeté, he can knock down that 15, 18-foot jump shot. Loves hook shots on the inside. His biggest issue is avoid fouling. 11 points per game over the last 3 for a kid that averages 6. They needed his production this afternoon as well.
Capita got the ball on a good pass, and he threw it up and missed. And what's the call going to be? He'll stay here, and Capita will go to the free throw line. So they're adding a bunch of free throws to the ledger. They're just not making them right now.
Yeah.
Go back to what Allison was talking about with Smith Jr. Remember, he tore his ACL.
Yes.
And then came and committed to NC State. He tore it in August and came in January to play for the Wolfpack, basically to rehab.
Yes.
And he even acknowledges, in spite of the fact that we've seen 2 double-doubles and some massive scoring games, he's still not 100% there. And I imagine if you're 100%, you'd be more inclined to drive the ball, deal with contact, explode off your leg.
Yeah, and in those 2 triple-double games that we got a chance to see, particularly the last one against Syracuse, we saw him consistently attacking off the bounce. And so as this game goes on, he's got to be more aggressive. But, Robert, we said this when we saw these teams, too. Because of the athleticism on the wings, I think at times they're pushing the ball to the floor too slowly. And if he can get the basketball and push, he can get some early opportunities for himself and create some for those dynamic wings that they have as well.
Well, and keep in mind, too, that NC State is without Markel Johnson, and he's been able to alleviate some of the ball handling duties for Dennis Smith Jr. lately. Johnson suffered a slight knee sprain and bone bruise in the last game against Clemson. I was told right before tip he has limited availability. Of note, guys, though, not wearing the brace that he wore in practice and during warm-ups.
Yeah, Allison, that's a good point. And he's usually a starter for them. We have seen him in practice yesterday. He looked and was moving pretty good, but Coach Gottfried said, I need an eye test. I need to see what he's going to be capable of. But that does relieve Smith Jr. of some of the responsibilities, allows him to be a little more free out there. But so far, no Markel Johnson for NC State.
Yeah, you're right. He looked confident, looked really good yesterday.
That's a shot clock violation. Good defense. You saw the block earlier from Terry Henderson, and it leads to a shot clock violation. New York Life ACC Championship continues all week on our networks. Tonight, Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh, and we'll go back to the studio and then bring you Wake Forest with Mr. John Collins. BC's backcourt's outstanding. Tomorrow, right out of the gate, Syracuse and Miami, and Duke will be on the floor. Your day schedule, real solid for day 2 in the ACC tournament.
Did you see the upper part of that? Oh, what a finish.
The upper part of where Jaron Blossom game just went? Is that where you were going?
Yeah, he got up on that one, baby. The upper part of that bracket is monster, though. NC State's turning that basketball over.
Too many turnovers for NC State. And that's going to go the other way. So, again, typical first day, noon start, sloppy play.
Folks, this is the area of the game that's been inconsistent for Clemson, but they've been really good tonight. And I love it when they can get out and push the rock. Jaron Blossom game, elite athlete, one of the best finishers in the ACC. Look at where he took off from with 2 hands. That is a very difficult dunk right there, folks. Jaron Blossom game off to a great start here in the first half.
He's got 6. Dennis Smith Jr. doesn't have a point yet. Nearly another turnover. He foregoes the open 3 and gets it in the corner to Henderson, the senior, who sends it through the net.
Yeah, really nice extra pass there. Terry Henderson, excellent 3-point shooter at 39%.
Good steal there. Smith elevated just as the pass went off, and now they're trying to push it a little.
Look at all the bodies around Dennis Smith Jr. when he gets into that painted area.
He's open now for a 3. In and out, and some more frustration for Smith Jr. to go 0 for 5 to start the game.
Yeah, and you got to keep taking that shot. Even though he's missing them, he's got to continue to take it. That's why he's got to get something to the rim in transition, because something happens when an athlete gets a chance to see the ball go through the net. So far, he's been limited to perimeter jump shots.
Well, they're bringing in a guy that certainly can get the ball through the net. Maverick Rowan, he's back into the game for Mark Gottfried, wears 24. 81 three-point field goals as a freshman last year, which was an NC State freshman record. He's got 50 this year.
Yeah, he can really get it going if they can find him coming off some screens. I look for Torin Dorn, number 2, to take over the point guard responsibilities here. More of a 2, but his ball handling allows him to be a combo. I like this mismatch here early, too. Got to get the ball to the other side of the floor. They're trying to attack same side. That is not going to work against Clemson.
And what about the help from Sadi Jete there to come over and block that baseline, which led to a travel?
And that's why it's so important to reverse the basketball, because that defense is sitting there waiting for you. Clemson is stout defensively. You got to get them on the move, and the way you do it is reversing the basketball and attacking from the other side of the floor.
You like taking Smith Jr. out. You got that 8-minute break coming up. He's missed every shot. Give him a breather.
Indeed.
Holmes 3, and it rattles around and in. 22-15 NC State. That's Avery Holmes, the 5th-year graduate student, the guard at 6'2", 195.
And if there's one guy you got to make put on the floor and guard the three-point line is Avery Holmes. He's shooting it red hot in ACC play, 53% from 3. in ACC play.
Dorn gets a push off, opens up the three, and DeVoe just got a hand up. So they match the threes, and a good shot from Torin Dorn.
The Charlotte transfer so strong in his upper body, creating a little space to be able to get that one off. That was nice.
Clemson with another offensive rebound. They swing it, DeVoe open. That one is off. And a good rebound by Capita.
Right, you see how Dante Grantham caught that basketball? He was wide open from three. He's completely lost his confidence on the offensive end. Never even looked at the rim. Number 15 and White's got to get his confidence back. They need him today.
Abu shooting with confidence, but he can't get it to go. And a run out for Clemson. Holmes, the cutter. Blossom game, left hand, and a bucket and a foul. Strong body, Jerron Blossom game at 6'7", 220, uses it and his left. We'll take a timeout. He'll shoot a free throw, trying to convert the three-point play. In Brooklyn, it's the Tigers, the football national champions, off to a good start right now.
She was just remarkable today, wasn't she?
Katie Lou Samuelson, UConn women, 107 straight wins, and she made all 10 of her threes the other night. They've won all those games, haven't lost a conference game in 4 seasons. We got 4 tickets to be punched. You'll see them all on ESPN or ESPN2. St. Mary's and Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference. And Gonzaga was pushed a little bit last night, but never really felt like they were going to lose the game. And a lot of people have them and Mark Few going all the way to a Final Four this year if they play to their potential.
Well, they got to look for tonight for St. Mary's if they're going to have any chances. Their big man, Jacques Landale, had a really good night last night. He's going to have to be aggressive early and stay out of foul trouble.
Smith Jr. back in. He's being tightly guarded by Avery Holmes. Abu with 4 on the shot clock. Blocked at the rim.
Good hustle.
Clemson keeps it alive, and they'll go with it.
Brad, remember we talked about earlier about reversing the floor? Every time North Carolina State keeps it same side, they have gotten nothing. Nice pass.
Terrific pass and a missed layup, an easy one for Jeté.
Yeah, he's got to dunk that one.
All right, Rowan's open for 3, and he'll fire away, and got it. Hogs are only down 3. Smith Jr. hasn't scored yet.
Well, Mark Gottfried, I'm feeling pretty good about that one, and that's a good sign for North Carolina State because Rowan can run off a few, as we saw him knock down 8 the last time he played against Syracuse.
30-second timeout here. Brad Brownell didn't like what he just saw. 24-21. All right, well, we got the college and we got the Little League World Series, and this food is a big focus. And certainly here in Brooklyn, Grimaldi's big focus for the basketball fan underneath the old Brooklyn Bridge. So you're not only getting great basketball, you always get good food in the big city.
I'm buying if you're willing to order some, bud.
I'll get that done.
You got it.
Post game tonight.
You got it.
3-point game. Carl Ravitch, LaFonso Ellis, Allison Williams. Oh, how strong has Jerron Blossom game been as he flexes on the way up, and a chance for another 3-point play.
And folks, at times Clemson goes away from Jerron Blossom game even when he has it going. To this afternoon, not so. They are feeding the beast, and he is delivering underneath. What a high degree of difficulty shot he just made there with contact. Look at this, folks. He's there, he gets hit from the backside, some body on the front side, still has the strength to finish it over the top. Jerron Blossom game flexing his muscle here in the first half.
This time he converts the 3-point play. He's got 11 points. So in the Battle of Stars, Blossom game outplaying Smith Jr. But still very much within striking distance, so we're going to get walks and frustration for number 4.
And Blossom Game is the guy that chose to come back for his senior year. He went and tested things out in the NBA Combine, taking advantage of that new rule, which allows players to do so. And it wasn't until the final minute when he decided to come back to Clemson that he knew he wasn't going to go into the draft. But he told me yesterday, I don't regret a thing. He said, I learned a lot this year, and I still believe that we have a good team. We have offensive weapons. These guys love basketball, and we've shown we can play with anyone.
Well, always a tough decision, but that rule which allows you to sort of dabble to see if you're going to be selected, Fonz, does give them the option to come back. And he's had a pretty storied career at Clemson as the 8th all-time scorer and rebounder. And he can light it up. I think Brad told me before the game, perhaps in the beginning of the season, to Allison's point, thought about the NBA, put a lot of pressure on himself maybe, and you started to see that, and he's really gotten to a place now where there's more comfort. We're seeing it today.
Well, what I thought happened is because of they have so many more offensive weapons, Clemson, this year than they did in the past. A lot of people expected his production to go down, but his production has not. He's been terrific. And part of that is, as I said earlier, at times their guards go away from him. And this afternoon, they've been able to stick with him. I think they should continue to feed him as we get out in the latter parts of this game. Let's see if NC State can reverse the ball for a change and attack the other side of the floor.
I think at some point, too, you got to give a good pass to Capita for the flush. You got to give some credit to the way Holmes is defending Smith Jr. He's become, at least to this point, a passer and not a scorer.
The floor is not spaced enough for Dennis Smith to be able to make some one-on-one plays. If they want him to be able to make one-on-one plays and there's nobody on the floor who can guard him one-on-one, they got to space the floor better. A little travel there.
Yeah. I would think if you're a Clemson fan, the one thing you do worry about is the fact that it is a close game because they have had a real hard time in close games. It's really been their story this season, losing those games.
Folks, since January 1st, Clemson has lost 9 games, each of them by probably a 2-possession per game average, meaning all 9 games came down to 2 possessions and they couldn't close.
Dorn 3. No good, and a good rebound in traffic by Jeté. Tough shot. Oh, tough shot, but a good shot for Shelton Mitchell.
He's so good with that little hesitation move that frees the defense, that opens up the lane for him to be able to get those shots off. Beautifully done there.
We'll have a turnover for NC State. Teron Blossom game having a super game so far for Clemson. 11 points. He's 5 of 10 from the field.
And folks, we talked about this guy in our open. He can be absolutely explosive on the offensive end, and he's attacked in every single way. Underneath, guys around him finishing, and watch this last shot. Lots of bodies underneath. Teron Blossom game, muscling it up here in the first half.
Huff and Seth Greenberg back here in studio. Coming up in the Audi halftime report, we'll talk about the ACC picture and also some of the bubble teams, including Wake Forest. They are up next right here on ESPN2. What do you see in this first half, though, Dallin?
It's been pretty ugly. Teams are who they are right now. North Carolina State turnover rate, they're last in the league in league play. They're turning over 11 times. Can't win that way.
Really disappointed in Dennis Smith. You're talking about a guy that's supposed to be a lottery pick in a game like this on this stage. Go take over the basketball game.
All right, we'll see what they do. Carl and Fonz, back to you.
All right, we were just talking about that, Seth. Drive the basketball a little bit. He has settled for the jump shot, and he's 0 for 5. No points. He averages 18. Blossom game's been really solid, and as Dallin pointed out, 11 turnovers for NC State, our game summary so far. I'd be shocked if he ends with 0. The question is how many and how often in the second half to get this team back in it.
Well, and Seth makes a great point there.
Blossom game having a day. Knocks down the 3.
Yeah, when he gets his inside going in, and it inspires his outside game, and he's been shooting that ball pretty well from the three-point line as of late. But as Seth knows as a coach, I don't care how good you are off the bounce. If you don't give him space to be able to operate, he has nowhere to go against a team that plays a simulation of a pack line defense.
Blossom game picks up the foul.
Teron Blossom game has got it going at all 3 levels. We've seen him knock down a 3, attack off the bounce, and get all the way to the rim. Even a post-up he's scoring off of. He's been fabulous here in the first half.
He's got 17 on the season. Today, already 14. He had an interesting game against the Wolfpack earlier this year. We had no points in the first half. He ended up with 16, including the last 8 of the game. Wow. So they've seen this act before, NC State has, from Blossom game.
NC State, I mean, they're hanging in there. They're only down 8 right now, and the turnovers have crushed them today. They only had 8 turnovers in their last meeting, 11 today, and has surrendered 11 points off of those turnovers.
Very little rhythm for NC State. We've seen when they're in rhythm how good they can be. Clemson has attempted 28 shots, 11 more than NC State, which speaks to their offensive rebounding. Lead 7 under 3 to go. Dante Grantham back into the game. He just had the ball and gave it up to DeVoe. Good move. He got by Dorn. Good dish. And we're going to get a foul and a near basket. Clemson with some good interior passing. Well, Brad Brownell's resume, we gave you that number, that 15 loss mark. And again, that would be their next loss. Has generally been a death knell for teams trying to get into the tournament. But Joe's got them hanging around there. He has, Lenardi, 10 teams from the ACC currently getting in. Never has a conference had more than 11. The Big East did that in 2011. Never has the ACC had more than 7 teams, which speaks to the depth and the quality this year of the ACC and perhaps the lack of quality around the country.
Yeah, and I think when you think of a team that's 4-14 in conference play, you think that it's got to be the strength of the conference that is allowing them to hang in there. Because they're 16-14 overall, but 4-14 in the conference.
That'd be a tough pill for a lot of schools to swallow, man. They're 10 under in the conference, and we're putting them in a tournament.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I can. We've had that conversation all year. Working down low with a bump and a bang, and it goes the big fella, Sidi Jete.
And folks, we talked about Sidi Jete earlier about his improved 15 to 18-foot range. We saw him knock down a J, but this is what he loves. He's so great at that little hook shot over his left shoulder, gets you leaning to your right, and then he comes back to it on the baseline. That was nicely executed by number 50 in white.
How about the shots they're getting in the paint compared to the points in the paint and the shots that NC State is getting?
And I hate to pound a dead horse here, but if they would get some ball reversals, then NC State will be able to attack off the bounce or throw it down inside. Their reluctance to do so has really hurt them on the offensive end.
Clemson's got 20 points in the paint. NC State has 4.
Clemson's doing a really nice job of switching 1 through 3, keeping someone in front of Dennis Smith the entire time. It's a nice cut by Maverick Rowan there. Avery Holmes knew he was a little late there and just reached out and grabbed him.
As we watch Rowan go to the free throw line, you may or may not have been in these positions before, but how aware is Smith that he hasn't scored and that Blossom game's having a good game? And how aware is he of what's going on?
I think he's very aware, because when I was watching him warmed up, he was dialed into the warm-up. He was actually pumping himself up on the tip-off there, and to not have the production in the first half, I'm sure he's pining about that one.
Blossom game on the bench. Clemson's lead is 10. 90 seconds to go before the half.
LaFonso, I'm curious, when you watch Dennis Smith Jr., especially in a game like this when he's struggling, what do you make of the body language? There's times this year when I've seen him kind of hang his head when he's struggling, and I'm just curious what you think that kind of says and if he needs to be more cognizant of that.
Yeah, as the leader of the team, as the point guard, you're kind of the temperature gauge of the team, and if they see you slumping your head down, they'll do it too. And so he's got to regain a level of confidence. I will admit, Allison, I've not seen him do that, even though he's not playing well here in the first half. But I do think with them playing him off the ball, they got to get him something coming off a screen that he can get a good look. Because once he started knocking down shots, now all of a sudden he could put 4, 5, 6 of them together. But to your point, I thought his body language, even though he wasn't playing well, has been good today. Terrible in the past, but good today.
May have been the most important 2 points that Smith has had this year, given that he's only got 2 in the game and we're heading to the half. A little different feel not seeing that ball, you mentioned it, go through the basket. Now he has. That's a 2, short of the iron. Chance for NC State. with 15 to go. Henderson goes one-on-one to the big fella, and it's blocked at the rim.
They had no numbers on that possession. Should have pulled that one out.
Holmes, 3. Ooh, that's a dagger. A 1-on-4 mistake leads to a 3-pointer, and now Smith's going to have to shoot from half court. Off the back iron. Henderson went 1-on-4, and it turned out to be a 5-point turnaround. He doesn't get the 2, and Clemson gets the 3. But the 3 wasn't the difference. It was the inside game for the Clemson Tigers. 20-4, they outscore them in the paint. Allison?
Coach Brownell, what did you do defensively to really limit Dennis Smith Jr. and force NC State into those turnovers?
Well, I mean, we tried to put 2 guys on him when we could, but he's such a really good player. You know, we just told our guys when he makes shots, don't get frustrated, just keep playing. And we've played a good defensive half. Hopefully we'll do another 20 minutes. What's
been the emphasis offensively as far as getting the ball inside?
Yeah, we want to be spread out. I think having good spacing and giving our guys some room to make plays. And obviously we're looking in the interior when we can do it, and our guys have done a good job of finding the post.
Brad, thank you.
Thank you.
Allie, their defense has held NC State to 7 of 21 shooting. Blossom game having a super game. 6 of 11 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep. It's the Tigers on top, 39-28, and now the Audi halftime report. Here's Prim. Welcome back, everyone. ESPN's Champ Week, the 2017 New York Life ACC Tournament first round action. NC State struggling. They're taking on the Clemson Tigers, and one team's having fun, the other's not. Dennis Smith Jr., the star for NC State. He's in the not column. 1 of 7, hit a 2-pointer late. And Jerron Blossom game has been outstanding for Clemson. He came back for his senior year after thinking about the NBA, and man, has he flexed. 14 points, 6 of 11. And the Tigers have got themselves a lead, and they are the team that is playing for their NCAA tournament lives. 39-28. Mark Gottfried, his potentially final game. He's trying to inspire the group. Afonso Ellis, Carl Ravitch, Allison Williams in a moment. Let's go inside the play.
Let's take a look and see why he's been so successful in the first half. This has been the difference between the two teams. Jerron Blossom game, Clemson's best player, catches the ball inside, starts to make a move on the interior. Where's the help? There's no one coming over to give any help on the inside. He steps back, gets fouled into the line. Now let's go to the opposite end. Dennis Smith, there's all kinds of help from Clemson here. They keep the ball on the same side. We've been talking about that. They've not been able to get anything. Look at that. 3 guys of where he is. A block shot, and their inability to change sides of the floor has led to 11 turnovers.
All right, Allison.
Turn it loose and go play. That's what Mark Gottfried told Dennis Smith Jr. at the half. And he said that he hopes seeing that final field goal go in will help him here in the second half. But the biggest thing for NC State, guys, they have to clean up the turnovers. That's been the biggest issue. And Gottfried said they've just been in a hurry. They've been shuffling their feet, and they've been trying to make plays that aren't there.
All right, Allie, and there is a sort of a blessing and a curse. I mean, Gottfried obviously doesn't want to be fired, that's for sure. But understanding the situation they're in, you got a team that's really got nothing to play for. So there's 2 ways you go. You either play great and loose, or you got nothing to play for and you kind of shut it down after a while. Let's hope that's not the case. Quick drive from Abu, can't get it to go, and Clemson will get the rebound. Got a shot in the paint and couldn't convert.
And that came on 3 to 4 ball reversals. North Carolina State's got to do a lot more of it in the second half as he shoots a little air ball right there by Sheldon Mitchell.
Knocked out of bounds by Capita. Clemson, 16-14 mark, 6-12. One of the schools in the ACC trying to join a whole host of others. Joe Lenardi, our bracketologist, has 10 ACC teams in, with Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Wake Forest all in action today on ESPN and ESPNU tonight, with a chance to improve their resumes and improve their chances to get in.
What a great slate of games we do have. Obviously, Georgia Tech hoping to improve their stock. They've had some great wins, but still firmly on the bubble. And I think the most intriguing one is Wake Forest. They can't come out here this afternoon and lay an egg against Boston College. Otherwise, they could put themselves in a precarious space.
Smith Jr. defending there, and we're going to keep it right here. They're going to call a hold on Capita. Wake Forest, the way that Collins has played and finishing in the top 3 player of the year in the ACC, Talk about coaches in this conference. Danny Manning's turning that program around has been something to see.
And that was his assistant, Randolph Childress, one of the great players in their history. Doing a great job with the guards, including his own son, the first father-son combo in Wake Forest history in Brandon Childress.
Smith Jr., bad pass, and that one is another turnover, and Clemson now with big numbers. And an easy layup, and that's not good defense by NC State.
Ravi, another time where the ball didn't change sides of the floor. Every time they've not reversed the ball has gotten them in trouble tonight.
Rowan's three, no. Capita right up with it on the offensive rebound.
It's one of the first clean looks NC State's gotten in a while. Things are rolling well for Clemson on the defensive and the offensive ends of the floor, but they can't forget about number 5 out there in white, who was terrific in the first half.
Sure was. That was a contested shot. Grantham there.
And folks, watch Sheldon Mitchell here using his eyes for deception and finding a wide open Dante Grantham, who at 6'8", knows how to finish it when he's that close to the rim.
Dude, that felt like the sugar. We already had the donut. Now we're adding sugar. They were 1 on 5.
Yeah.
He could have closed his eyes.
But you gotta like the look away. You gotta like the look away.
It was a great shot. When a producer and director are in the truck and they get a great shot, they want you to see it.
We love those guys. They do a great job.
So Jeff and Mark made sure Eric got that shot out there.
Indeed.
Smith Jr. still scoreless in the game. His lowest point total this year, a couple of times, 8. Oh, Rowan, window work.
You know what's funny about it, Raph? As poorly as NC State has played, they're really only down 8. And if they can get a couple stops here and get out in transition and get some easy ones, we'll have a ball game here.
Speaking of easy, how about the layup? Their defense has been Matador, and Godfrey just put his head down and stomped around on that sideline right behind where Dennis Smith is now.
When there's no communication, the guy that's the on-ball defender doesn't quite know what to do, and that's what opened up that baseline drive. Folks, watch this. As this is taking place, you got to be yelling as the big, hey, screen right, so he can adjust his position. You can tell Dennis Smith Jr. had no idea that the ball screen was coming, and he didn't adjust to the baseline side, which opens up the baseline for an attack. That was nicely done by Clemson, but poor job defensively, especially on the communication end by North Carolina State.
24 points in the paint for Clemson. Coming easy in the second half, and we're going to get a walk on Abu.
Yeah, Boo just needs to take his time when he catches it. He's usually really patient when he catches the ball down in the post, but this afternoon's the first time I've seen him in a hurry, and every time he's in a hurry, he commits a turnover.
Recipe for failure. 13 turnovers already for NC State. Holmes, 3, in and out. Good rebound. Kept it alive, but he threw it to Dorn, and a steal from Mitchell. No foul called. Looks like Holmes aggravated himself on the play, but he'll be lifted by that flam. Sheldon Mitchell. And Holmes is down here on the floor, and he's hurt. Looks like that left ankle.
Returning for the Wolfpack, number 14,
Oh, no. And folks, as this is taking place, watch number 50, Sidi Jate, who's going to come into your picture under the rim. Watch this seal inside, which opens up the lane for him to be able to attack. Now, that was a beautiful attack, but it wouldn't have been there if Sidi Jate, number 50, wouldn't have been able to seal and screen out. And what a beautiful, strong finish there by Sheldon Mitchell.
Watch Holmes come down on that ankle, and it's going to be real obvious right there as he rolled that left ankle.
Oh, man, I'm glad I ate a little while ago. I'd be sick right now. Those hurt.
Rolled it on Sidi Jate.
Wow. Couldn't look at that, partner.
Well, that was a highlight dunk. The fact is they've now had 3 easy layups. For a team that's got to be desperate, NC State. They're not playing that way right now.
Yeah, Avery Holmes, number 12, and White's headed back to the locker room back there, but he's at least walking well. He's got a little gimp to him, but he's walking well. That's a good sign.
Smith Jr. off the ball, so he now gets it. And he'll settle for a 3, and he'd be way short. It's a real dangerous time now for NC State.
Indeed, he's much better when he's in attack mode. They got to get a stop here.
Missed layup. Jete, no. And Abu will gather it and see if Smith tries to take advantage of the push out all the way. And it's a block, but they're going to get a foul.
See how much better he is when they get the basketball and push it. I still thought it was a little too slow and too deliberate, but with the way he can attack off the bounce, I think NC State has missed opportunities all year long to get a quick attack to the rim, and if nothing's there, then get into their secondary break. I'd like to see them do a lot more of that here in the second half.
Covering all sports, this would be one of those situations, as he misses a free throw, where you look at the player and you start to wonder, is there something else wrong? Is there a physical problem with him?
Yeah, I'm watching his gait, and as he's running up the floor, because a lot of times you can see it on the defensive end when guys are sliding, and I don't see anything necessarily there. I do see a sign of frustration on his face right now, and I've gotten a chance to see him a lot this year, and he doesn't play well when he's frustrated.
He'll come out. We'll get the timeout at the 16-minute mark, so he'll get a breather. And only 3 points for number 4, the ACC Freshman Player of the Year. How often have we in tournaments, conference tournaments, NCAA tournaments, seen point guards just carry teams?
Yeah. And how have they been able to do it, though, Rav, with great spacing and being able to push it in transition, something that we've not seen them do consistently with Dennis Smith Jr.
Clemson continues to pound the inside offensive glass, and they'll go to the line shooting 2.
It's been about easy baskets here early in the second half for Clemson. Beautiful finish there, and how about the power finish leading to big-time frustration by Coach Mark Gottfried. Come on, guys.
They've been great all season. Number 1 seed in the ACC tournament, North Carolina. Florida State, Leonard Hamilton's team with all sorts of offensive firepower and size. Notre Dame, the veteran plays of Farrell, Vesturia, Colson, and Louisville. Rick Pitino's team starting to peak. Donovan Mitchell has been so good all season long. The Wendy's wouldn't watch. He's not one of the final 15 or an ACC player there, but Bonzi Colson is from Notre Dame. Jackson, who is the player of the year in the conference, and Luke Kennard. Near turnover as we resume play here, and it leads to another easy layup for Clemson. So the ball going the way of the Tigers.
Yeah, those 50-50 balls, they've just not been able to come up with and secure to give themselves an advantage. And had they been able to, they'd find themselves in 3-on-2, 2-on-1 situations.
Smith Jr. stays on the bench even after the timeout, so he'll get a longer rest.
Reverse the ball.
Abu can't get it to go. Good offensive rebound, one they need. Rowan is open for a 3 in the corner, but Abu will get the bang in the bucket.
It's one of the first of those 50-50 scenarios that has gone well for NC State there, able to capitalize. Henderson making a great decision there, and Abu on the attack, little soft finish over the top. They needed an injection of something positive, and that could be the one right there to get them going, because they've been lackluster here in the first half, in the second half.
A friendly roll off the rim too. Indeed. On the free throw.
Wow. I think those tight rims heard me talking about them badly, so they want to be a little forgiving there.
Clemson's a plus 20 when it comes to points in the paint, a plus 6 on the rebounding side, plus 6 on the offensive rebounding side. Open shot for DeVoe, in and out, and again we'll keep it here. So the size of Clemson has certainly been a problem for NC State. They're not boxing out.
Yeah, and they went to a 2-3 zone there, and it's much more difficult to box out in a 2-3 zone because you're kind of guarding an area.
And that's exactly what they were just talking about in the last Clemson huddle too, guys. They like their 2 bigs in there against this zone to give them more of an advantage on the boards, and a big emphasis on rebounding right now. Also defensively, they have to make sure they continue to sprint back and take away their shots in transition.
Well, Jete gives about 5 inches, it feels like, to Abu, who is trying hard on that baseline to guard it, but another layup, and that's a goaltend on Abu.
Got the basket, Shelton Mitchell.
And a foul.
Yes, indeed. And we talk a lot about being able to communicate. Again, no communication by Yurt-7, and Dorn not able to change the way he was defending that one. And look how quickly he was able to get to the rim, and no one there. It's a good call by the officials with the goaltend as well.
So what NC State will do, they'll bring in BJ Anye, who for a while was away from the team.
Yes. And what he'll give them inside is some shot blocking. He gives them some length and some balance on that defensive board. So let's see if he can get going here as he catches it in the low block.
They go to BJ Anya right away, and he tried hard to use that weight of his to move some space. And it'll stay NC State ball. Hey, good game. Speaking of Danny Ainge, he's in the house tonight. His Celtics face off against the Warriors at 10:30 Eastern Time. One of the best in the East against the best in the NBA. Earlier, it's the Pacers and the Pistons. It starts at 8, 10:30 the second game. Doubleheader NBA Wednesday presented by State Farm.
What a team he's been able to put together. To see, wow, nice shot there by Rowan. To see what he's been able to put together, starting with the hiring of Brad Stevens, who I didn't think would be a good coach in our league, but what they did is they downshifted and created a younger team that they knew would listen to him, because we stubborn veterans will look at him and go, you never played in our league, we're not listening to you. What a brilliant move by Danny Ainge, and this played huge dividends for them.
And you can give the ball to Isaiah Thomas in the fourth quarter and just watch.
I get to Isaiah Thomas anytime and just watch.
Tough shot. Once again, in an effort to box out, they're going to call that one on Anya, who's come in and, in a sense, asserted himself. Like, if I'm here, I'm going to get some fouls.
Yeah.
We're going to make a little noise.
I like the fact that, especially on the offensive end, he was looking to make a play down there. Like to see him hit it and go a little bit more quickly. But he certainly gives them some size and some bulk on the interior. And what he doesn't get enough credit for, he's an excellent communicator on the back side of that zone.
The career all-time leader in block shots, Anya at 6'9", 320.
Rabin, watch him talk, point, and communicate.
Smith back in. That time Zate. It's almost as if they're defensive rebounding the offensive glass. He had great position, just took a bad bounce.
See how slowly NC State's bringing the ball up the floor? They got to bring that thing up much more quickly, and it'll create some opportunities for number 4.
Well, he went to the hole, and he got it blocked. And the run out 2-on-1. Great dish and a layup and an easy one. Really good interior pass to Elijah Thomas.
Tell you what, we've been talking a lot about vision with Smith Jr. Sheldon Mitchell's got some pretty good vision too. He's made some terrific passes in this game.
Well, that'll add to the frustration for Smith Jr. You drove and you got it blocked. And that one's going to go off Smith Jr. as he tried to grab an offensive rebound.
I mean, look at this, folks, and this is why I say he's still engaged. He could have given up on this play, but Dennis Smith Jr. was trying to get back in. But Sheldon Mitchell continues to make great decisions when he's got the rock. I tell you what, as a former big with a great point guard in college with Elmer Bennett, when you know he's going to give it up, you run hard, and that's exactly what Elijah Thomas, number 14 in white, did. Because he knows that Sheldon Mitchell would give up the rock.
They got 13 fast break points. You mentioned how slowly NC State's moving the ball up. They have 3. Abu using his muscle to get that layup. Stays within 10.
I'd like to see him do that every time he catches the ball, whether it be in the high or the low post. He is hard to guard with a variety of moves down low as well.
Open shot, the lefty. No good, but look at Jate working down low. Anya, no. And it'll stay NC State ball. I mean, you really are looking at what appears to be 2 guys playing as if they're 3 feet taller than anyone on NC State.
You know what they're doing is they're catching those little guards down on the backside and just wedging them underneath the basket, using their size on the interior, which is exactly what the big should do.
Wide open, and a 3 for Sheldon Mitchell.
That's a pretty underneath out of bounds play. All they did is crash in on the low side forward, opening up that weak side corner over there. A nice delivery and finish.
All around good game for Mitchell, 16 and 6 assists. Smith Jr. didn't catch it, ready to shoot it. Abu hard to the hole. Can't get that to go. Good work by Anya there to get the offensive rebound. Little boy, big fella, way to come in and try to make an impact.
Yes, sir.
They need it. They're down 13. This has been part of the story. Points in the paint, 32-12. Fast break, they've got a 10-point edge.
And folks, nothing's more beautiful than defense, offense being created by your defense. The block there by Elijah Thomas. Now it's off to the races. Great decision making by Sheldon Mitchell. And the lay-in, more frustration by Godfrey. Where do I go from here?
Welcome back. We're in Brooklyn. The ACC tournament comes to New York for the first time. 64 years. The original ACC members, Clemson was one of them. Duke, Maryland, UNC, NC State, South Carolina, Virginia, Wake Forest. Only Clemson has never won an ACC tournament title. They're off to a good start today. The winner of this one will get Duke in our second round action on Wednesday as New York Life. ACC championship continues all week on our networks. Best teams, the top 4 double buys.
I mean, how about that? You got the 1, 4, and 5 best teams in the league in that top portion of that bracket. That's murderer's row up there. Good grief.
And as Joe Lenardi has said, and you'll be able to see Wake Forest at 2, and then Georgia Tech tonight. Wake Forest, last 4 in. Georgia Tech, one of the next 4 out, and Clemson also on that next 4 out list. So they are playing as a desperate team, and they're playing well right now. They've just dominated the offensive glass. They had another chance and couldn't get it to go.
Abu looks like he's hurt down there, still underneath the basket. Hasn't crossed half court. I think he took a little shot in the nose.
Sean Hull, the official, right there with him.
Ooh, yeah, those hurt right across the bridge of the nose. Makes you tear up, and you got that little sting going.
It's just water for like a half hour.
Get a little indeed. Poor guy.
Well, they got their shooters on the floor. Dorn, Smith, Maverick Rowan. We're heading to 10-minute mark.
Got to catch a shot ready, though. Mav wasn't ready to quite shoot that one.
4 on the shot clock, and Smith is in big-time trouble here. Double teamed. Absolutely nothing there. Good defense by Clemson.
They've got nothing out of the side ball screen. Clemson's doing a great job of taking that away, and they're making him play on 1/3 of the floor, taking away the other side. That's how they got to be, a high ball screen, or when you don't have it, you got to reverse the basketball. I don't think they've gotten one single basket tonight out of that same side ball screen.
It's been a little different year for Brad Brownell, and he talked about this conference earlier today to me about every night you got teams that have 3 or 4 really good shooters. No matter how good a defense you're playing, another 3 goes in. No matter how good a defense you're playing, you look around North Carolina, Duke, the top teams, Florida State.
Yeah.
They have multiple threats on the floor. And it's one of the reasons Brownell's numbers defensively haven't been that good. But today they've been outstanding. They've allowed only 41. They got a 16-point lead. Day 1 of the ACC tournament here in Brooklyn.
Folks, welcome back. Clemson has extended its lead to 16. Let's take a look defensively and see how they've gotten it done. You're wondering why Dennis Smith Jr. is not able to get it going? Look at all the attention to detail on the defensive end. 2 guys funnel him to the corner area. The 3 other guys all locked in and engaged, and now leads to another turnover. That's 14 turnovers in this game. And folks, what that led to on the other end was a ball screen situation where North Carolina State didn't communicate. 2 dribble, straight line drive to the rim, and that's really been the difference in this game. Clemson's defense and awareness of where number 4 in red has been outstanding, and the defense on the other side for North Carolina State has been unaware on the weak side as Dennis Smith Jr. knocks down a sweet little pull-up off the glass.
He's made a lot of great shots. Perhaps the one everybody remembers is that dunk against Duke that didn't count. Game was over. You haven't seen that explosion from him today, that type of explosion. Another easy layup inside for NC State. Elijah Thomas, their bigs have dominated.
You can see how frustrated Mark Gottfried is after that last Clemson score, because during that entire last timeout, he just repeated over and over the urgency of getting stops. He's saying this game is still in the balance. We can get back in this. It's 100% doable, but you have to get stops. It's got to start on the defensive end.
When do you start pressing a little bit on the defensive end as well? Well, court.
Yeah, you got to. That's great stuff, Allison. You got to be able to mix it up here, and I agree with you. Even on makes and misses, I think you got to show a little bit of pressure to just slow down this what's been a high octane offense for Clemson, because they're getting anything they want in the half court.
It's remarkable how often they're getting inside position on the offensive glass. Abu, who got banged in the face, is coming back into the game.
And Ravi, that's what hurt them last game. NC State gave up 15 offensive rebounds, and Clemson scored 12 offensive rebounds, and Clemson scored 25 points off of those offensive rebounds. They're attacking the glass again here tonight.
16-6 on the offensive end rebounds for Clemson over NC State. And a 14-point lead as we hit the 8:27 mark. Another offensive rebound and a missed layup. That's their best defense is missed layups.
Indeed. I mean, today they have been, and that's the thing. And the last time these two teams met, yeah, they had the offensive rebound advantage, but North Carolina State didn't turn the basketball over. Today they've compounded the scenario by giving up offensive rebounds and turning it over.
Little extra pass, Henderson 3, that's off. Smith Jr. the offensive rebound. Good step through. A little more from Dennis Smith Jr. here in the last couple of minutes.
Now you got to get some stops, Raph. Obviously, your best player is engaged. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been getting to the offensive glass the way he is. Now can you get some stops on the defensive end? The weak side has to be aware.
They're going to get a bang inside. They're going to call the foul on Torin Dorn. 12-point game, 7:30 to go. Day one of the ACC tournament in Brooklyn.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life.
And folks, welcome back here. Coming up next, Boston College against Wake Forest. It's going to be a great game. You should tune in. Great post players in that game.
Good sell. I mean, the stretching in the hallway, you're right, kind of a bland thing.
Is that pretty good?
You killed it.
And folks, that's assistant coach Butch Pierre there talking to his star player, Dennis Smith Jr., and he's saying, look, I understand the circumstances, but you got to bring it. And he came out a lot more excited. I'm sure he told him that there's people here in the stands evaluating him, some general managers, some presidents, and you got to bring it for yourself and for your teammates. And he's done exactly that. Came out playing some inspired basketball, and he's got to continue to do that for North Carolina State in the last 7:35 to go in this game.
I'm not a lip reader, but there was almost a way to suggest he said, time for you to go, time for you to win. Blossom Game's first 2 points of the second half.
Sometimes when you're the best player on your team, you can get a little self-focused, a little self-centered there, and it takes an assistant coach to be able to talk you out of it. And Butch Pierre doing a nice job there. Whatever he said to him certainly got to Dennis Smith Jr. He's got to be aggressive here into this game.
Rowan down low, tough fadeaway, and oftentimes when you do that, you come up short, and he did. Maverick Rowan struggling like the rest of the team from the field.
To his credit, there was no spacing on the weak side of the floor. He had no one to pass it.
Look out! Look out! There's Blossom Game after the free throws went through with a big flush.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
See, but that's the type of play I'm sure a lot of NC State folks want from Smith Jr. He created that one-on-one on his own and exploded at the rim.
Yeah, but notice how much space he had after the gamble, and he knows there's nobody coming over because in the second half, they've been late coming over, and Ron Blossom Game, my gosh, look at him fighting and working down there. Torin Dorn overplays there, opens it up, and I told you he's got elite-level athleticism, and he punches that one home.
Abu mismatch with Thomas, who's trying to work him. Lefty, short.
Push here. Look for early opportunities. A little too slow steal, Raph. Nice pass.
Abu looked like he may have gotten away with a walk. We're going to get a foul there.
You thought that was a little cha-cha before he took off?
But if you're comparing Steve Francis and Chris Paul to the guy on the floor here, Dennis Smith, isn't there usually an ability one-on-one to blow by a guy?
Yeah, but Clemson's transition defense has been really good because what they're doing, when we used to play against the Lakers and Kobe Bryant, we used to make sure we always had guys at his trigger spots, which were the boxes and the elbows. And they're doing a great job of running back and getting two guys at the elbow, so there's nowhere for him to go. And the only shot he has is a pull-up J, which they're willing to give him from the three-point line. So the transition defensive execution for Clemson has been really good against number 4 in red.
Well, three-quarter court pressure from Smith Jr. this time. Down by 15, 6 to go. Another drive, and that one cut off.
Wow, there's that hesitation again by Mitchell.
Clemson will play Duke if they win this game tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern time.
How about the year Luke Kennard has had, speaking of Duke? I mean, Bonzie Colson, I've told you how much I love that kid, 6'4", undersized power forward, leads the ACC in double-doubles, the only player averaging a double-double. But if I had to pick a guy that I want to go play with, it'd be Luke Kennard. That dude can flat out get buckets.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at the vote totals when it came to Player of the Year, and that Jackson ran away with it. And then there was Colson and Collins, and Kennard finished 4th.
I was surprised by that.
That one, and I was a Jackson. I've been a Jackson guy all year.
Yeah.
But I don't know how Kennard doesn't finish 1 or 2 in that race.
That's a bad dude. I really like him.
He's just been so consistently good. I mean, that team has dealt with everything. And he was the one stable force all season long.
Yeah. Because if I had it my way, it would have been Bonzie Colson, Player of the Year, and Kennard would have been second. Because he's, to your point, he's been consistent all year long, unguardable.
Free throw goes through from Abu. Another example, and it's something you'll be able to watch when you play in these NBA arenas. These rims do tend to be tighter. I don't mean to beat the horse, but it's certainly evident today with the long rebounds and even the free throws that rattle around and either go down or out just like that.
Yeah, we talked about as a result of it, you got to box out probably 2 to 3 feet further, and I think that has been why Clemson has been able to dominate the backboard, because you typically box out maybe a foot outside of the rim, and now that ball's bouncing 3 or 4 feet away. And Clemson has certainly been quicker to the ball.
Tigers have a double bonus situation going now, and they are up 64-49.
Really like Marquise Reed. He started hot on the year, averaging about 19 points per game in his first 2 ACC games, but then struggled. And 14 points per game over the last 6. And for them to be able to, if they continue to go on and win this game, to beat Duke, he's going to have to be an X factor for them tomorrow.
Well, certainly seeing Blossom game play well bodes well. They lost only by 2 to Duke in their only meeting this season. Abu baseline reverse. Good job.
I remember early on, Rav, in the first half, they ran that isolation for him to go one-on-one against City Jete. It worked really well for him, and now it's taken a long time for them to go back to it. Missed opportunities here in this game by NC State.
They did not play well defensively so far today, and the points in the paint have been huge for Clemson. That's a tough shot, and that was a little bit better defense. And Smith had a chance to penetrate. Instead, he kicked it out for a 3. Dorn with a rebound, gets men in the air and lays it up and lays it in.
It's good hustle there by Dorn. But on that transition push, Smith Jr. had 3 guys around him. Nowhere for him to go.
Like the timeout, Brad Brownell. Anytime NC State's shown some signs of life, the Tigers have said, let's take a break. Teasing us, we've seen Grimaldi's Pizza and now the old hot dog stand. Michael and Jamel want you to join them weeknights. The new 6 o'clock Sports Center on ESPN. They're bringing their own brand of style and personality. They brought the answer yesterday. Literally, they had Allen Iverson on. Sports, music, movies, and more. The 6 available streaming live on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN.
Tell you what, I was pretty skeptical of that show. Wasn't quite feeling it, but I was home for a couple days, and my wife and I got a chance to sit down and watch it. Do a really nice job. It's quite entertaining.
The answer, flowering comments yesterday, loving the 6 with Jamel and Michael. Inside game, Blossom game, starting to score more in the second half. And he's to 20 now.
He's been the solid rock for this Clemson Tiger team all year long.
Sean Kirk has come into the game, 6'8", 195. Abu baseline, that looked good from the get-go, and he knocks it down.
Like I said, anytime they've gotten him in that isolation situation, he's been really good, especially when he looks up and finds Elijah Thomas, who's not as good defensively one-on-one as Sidi Jate is.
Boston game 3, short. And they can get it to 10 with a 3.
Wow, he has no room to go.
And a big miss there.
Yeah.
Felt like they could have done something.
Yes.
Smith Jr. actually looked like he had a chance to pull up on the baseline and opted not to. And that may have been a trip that will give the game to Clemson, even with 3 and change on the clock.
Yeah, you got to get a stop here. That helps.
Official timeout on the floor.
Brad Brownell out to give high fives to his team, and he certainly can talk about their ability to hold on to the basketball. That was Clemson's first turnover this half. The recipe for success. An update from Champ Week when we come back in the studio.
Prince Ripapat, Dallin Cuff, and Seth Greenberg back here in the Bristol studios. Coming up on the College Basketball Live scoreboard, we will talk about the entire ACC picture, some sleepers, but spinning it ahead. Clemson, a rematch with Duke, potentially, Seth?
Last time these two teams played, it was a 2-point game. Clemson had a shot with the basketball. Tough matchup for Duke.
Blossom game's got to play better. He had a season-low 7 points, though, so if they see each other again, he's got to step up, be the guy he's being today.
All right, guys, back to you. That's coming up after this game.
Hi, Prim. We'll see you on the scoreboard show. Look forward to that. And that's why we said this Blossom game explosion today bodes well for them tomorrow against Duke. And we've seen it in tournaments before. You know, these low seeds, as Rowan has it roll in and out, all of a sudden get hot and they can kind of go. You know, there's a decided disadvantage to having to play the first day, but it does bode well the next day because you've already got a little momentum going.
That's right. Don't have to warm up as much because your body's still warm, ready to go. And this Clemson team, defensively, they've been much better than I actually saw them early in the year. If they can play as well defensively tomorrow as they have today, then they certainly have a shot because they've got a lot of offensive weapons out there. And Avery Holmes has been terrific before he got that ankle injury, and Shelton Mitchell has been terrific today.
Been really good.
And LaFonso, it does sound like Avery Holmes will be available for tomorrow. He hasn't returned since leaving the game with the left ankle injury, which they tended to in the locker room. I'm told he is cleared to return medically. Just the Clemson staff is playing it safe here with the game tomorrow. They don't want to jeopardize or further injure that ankle, but he is cleared medically.
Thanks, Allie. We've seen a ton of Jaron Blossom game flexing.
A lot of biceps.
He's feeling pretty good about himself. And the biceps today, he's had a monster game, and he's used his muscle and his strength and those biceps to get inside the paint and go to the line several times to convert three-point opportunities. He's missed a couple of them.
At times, these great guards of Clemson can go away from him, but they've continued to feed the beast today. He's been great. I think at some point you got to go to a little bit of full court pressure here. Try to create some turnovers to get back in this game. He was getting awfully late.
Late pass from Reed, and Jate was looking for him to shoot it. I got the offensive rebound cover. Just get it up there and I'll go get it.
Oh, worst case scenario, throw the lob.
Now, rough for Mark Gottfried. He never expected this to be his last year. He looked around at his roster and figured, I got a lot of good young players, knowing I'm losing Smith Jr., but I got Markel Johnson, who's been hurt and hasn't played today. Rowan's a sophomore. Dorn's a sophomore. The 7-footer, Yurt 7, a freshman, went into a meeting with Kay Yao, and literally walked up to the meeting anticipating it being a conversation that had nothing to do with his dismissal.
Right.
And ended up, that's what she said, and he sort of left the meeting with a, what just happened?
Wow.
Moment.
Yeah. I tell you what, it completely blindsided me. I did not see that coming at all. You mentioned Markel Johnson. Markel Johnson is going to be a monster. You'll remember that name. He's going to be really tough.
I think I said Kay. Obviously, I misspoke. It's Debbie Yao, the athletic director there. But he'd had great success in the tournaments. He came to NC State, and this is obviously, in that conference, a nasty place to have success. There's some contact at the rim with Jeté and Henderson. But it's not as if this team and his programs haven't done well. Now, the expectations this year, probably because of Smith, were really high. They were picked to finish as high as 6, Fonz. They ended up 13th.
Yeah.
But, man, 8-5 in the ACC tournament prior to this. At least one win in the last 5 tournaments. He's not going to get one today, it looks like.
Yeah. And people don't realize, and another thing that you factored in, you know, with them being a young, not only a young team, but a lot of new pieces. You know, Malika Boo has been here. Dennis Smith Jr. is new. Terry Henderson was injured last year and out. Torrin Dorns had his issues. Yurt Seven's new. So, I felt he should have had at least been given one more year to see if he could put the pieces together after Dennis Smith.
Yeah, Fonz, I think you're right on, and that was the most disturbing part for the NC State staff, is that they didn't feel like when you looked at the body of work as a whole over his tenure that the firing was justified. You mentioned the 8 ACC tournament wins. That's second only to UNC since Gottfried took over. So he has had success here. I know one concern for NC State athletic department was the turnover on the roster, but doesn't that seem like that's the case across college basketball as a whole? I mean, players are transferring all the time.
Yeah, it's a great point.
It is. The other thing that I think a lot of the folks will point to when you look at BC, which we'll see coming up, both Kai Bowman and Jerome Robinson. Robinson's from Raleigh, North Carolina. Bowman used to go to camp in Raleigh. They didn't get those homegrown guys, those two guys, and here they are starring for the Boston College Eagles. And that's been a difficult one for a lot of NC State folks to swallow. Like, why are we hearing about Bowman and how great he is? How did we lose him?
That's a great point. And those guys that are that good and a little bit under the radar, you got to be able to get those guys in your backyard. I still felt that Mark Gottfried should have another year, though.
Yeah,
because he still has a talented group.
And I think in speaking with him, he wants to coach. I mean, this is he's not done. They may be done with him, but I don't think he's by any stretch of the imagination ready to join us on the TV side again, which he did and did really well. He's got some coaching left in him.
Yeah, he was actually my studio partner, which is how I got a chance to know him so well. But no, I thought that was a very professional stance he took by not just walking out on the kids.
Dagger there to make it 75-59 in favor of Clemson with 30 to go. And to Gottfried's credit as well, physically he's in much better shape than he was. He had a little heart issue. And as a result has started to do spinning courses. And he is in terrific shape now and feels a lot better physically than he has.
Looking mean and lean over there. And with regard to Clemson, Jerron Blossom Game is going to get a lot of the credit, which he definitely deserves. Nice underneath pass there. But Sheldon Mitchell has also been sensational today. Both guys with 22 points, and Sheldon Mitchell has done a great job of leading this team. Great passing today, getting everyone involved by looking for his own offense. He's been terrific.
Clemson and Brad Brownell will move on. They will face Duke tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Mark Gottfried walks towards Brad Brownell in the last game he will coach for NC State. 75-61 the final score. The dominance on the offensive glass and in the paint. And the duo of Blossom Game and Mitchell, 44 points between them. They made 17 of 30 shots. They were outstanding. And Clemson picks up a much-needed win as they try to move off the bubble as far as the NCAA tournament goes. Just a quick look at where we stand now, saying so long to NC State. Clemson, the 12-5 game tomorrow at 2 on ESPN against the Blue Devils of Duke. The first game tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. Hello, Boeheim and Larrañaga, Syracuse and Miami That one should be outstanding. Take a look at that picture. Last time you'll see Gottfried and Smith in NC State uniforms, as the projections have Dennis Smith Jr. as a top 5 pick in this season's upcoming NBA draft. .40 points in the paint. NC State 22. 17-11 on the offensive glass. And a head-shaking, frustrating day for NC State. 75-61 our final. Allison Williams, LaFonso Ellis, and I back for our second game, BC and Wake Forest. But now, let's get updated on all that's going on our college basketball live scoreboard show. Rep.